This is the Infatuasian podcast, where we get together with a few friends and talk about Asian things and Asian people that we love. I'm Curtis, and on today's episode, we are talking about the past, present, and future of the wildly popular phenomenon known as K-pop.
Hit you with that ddu-du.
All right, welcome to episode number 10 of the Infatuasian podcast. Today, I say this every episode, but I am clearly not an expert on today's topic. Today's topic is one that we have to do. If we're going to do an Infatuasian podcast, we have to talk about K-pop because it is huge, it is big, it is something that people are talking about. And so we wanted to talk about this when we did our music episode, but the people I had on that show were definitely not into K-pop at all. So I had to bring in some people who know a little bit more about this subject, and I couldn't think of anyone better than the two I have with me today. So we have all the way from Southern California, we have Floris. Welcome, Floris.
Hi.
You're like, this is kind of awkward. I should say Floris is a relative. Floris is, you ready for this? One of my favorite cousin-in-laws.
I think the favorite cousin-in-law.
Well, let's not get carried away, because also joining us is my other favorite cousin-in-law. We have Nathan. Welcome, Nathan.
Hello.
And right now, Crystal and Alfred are just yelling at their radios right now. What about us? Well, you got to come on the pod if you want to be favorite status. You have to come on to the podcast. But welcome, guys. Floris, how would you describe yourself? Would you who's your number one? Like, would you say your ARMY or your Blink first?
I think all-time favorite would have to be Big Bang. So, yeah. But current favorite, I would say BTS, either BTS or 17, and then girl group would definitely be Blackpink.
All right.
Oh, definitely. So, yeah.
Nate, how about you? What would you say you listen to more than any other band?
So I think it's almost in the same realm as Floris. So originally it's like a lot of Epik High in the beginning, Big Bang, and then nowadays it's a lot of like GOT7, BTS, and girl groups. Say BTS is just killing it right now.
Yeah, and plus you can sing along. You can sing along in English.
I mean, you can sing along in Korean too.
True.
It may not be right, but you can still sing along.
Yeah, well, you could. I don't know if I could, but yeah. All right, so I've got a couple questions for y'all, just so the audience can get to know you a little better. Floris, when did you start getting into K-pop?
I've been into K-pop since like 2008. I honestly thought it was just gonna be a phase, but here I am, like 10 years later, and I'm still super into K-pop.
Was it a friend who got you into it?
Yeah, it's actually how I met my best friend. Her phone went off in class and it was a Big Bang song, and I went up and asked her about it after. I was like, oh, what song is it? And then here I am now.
That's a good line. That's a good line to use when you want to make a new friend. Say, hey, what song is that? I like that. That's cool. So that was high school?
Middle school for me.
Oh, that was middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is how friendships are formed a lot of times. Like, who you're listening to, right? It's kind of like... So I think K-pop unites. K-pop brings people together.
Definitely.
That's so
But
true.
it could also divide, right? If you have a friend and they're not into it, it's like, well, can we even be friends?
I think, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are also into K-pop. I don't think we've ever had like, even though we do have disagreements, it's still like a lovely conversation we still have. We talk about like our idols and, people that they idolize or really like.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it started with me. I mean, I'm just trying to have conversation with students, right? It's got to work with high schoolers. And, what are they listening to? What are they into? And, they're into K-pop. So I'll try to get to know a little bit about certain subjects so I can at least not be zero knowledge, right? So I can talk to them and say, hey, what is that? So that's kind of how I got started. But we'll talk about that later. But, yeah, okay. So was it for Nate? For you, was mostly high school
Oh
or?
no, God, I remember this. I think back in middle school. I think it was in
Ooh.
the like eighth grade, moving on. So this was really far back for me. Actually, yeah, no, I think sorry, it was about the same 2008. But I don't know if you guys remember. This used to be an old game called Maple Story.
Uh-huh.
So Maple Story, they had a lot of MVs, music videos.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would watch them, and I think it came up with Big Bang, either Haru Haru or Lies, and that's how I got into K-pop. Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't even necessarily know it was K-pop, right? You're just
Yeah,
kinda-
I didn't even know. I literally just listened to it. I was like, wow, this sounds amazing. I started looking at that band, and I was like, wow, a lot of their music are pretty good. And then I learned that it was K-pop, and then a thing I did before, because I used to download all my music on YouTube illegally.
No, I think that's what I think they know. They know it's getting done, right? They're putting it up there.
So I used to Google like top 50 K-pop songs of that year and month,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I would like download the best ones.
No, I think the visuals, and we'll get into this, right? But I think the music by itself, I mean, let's be a little bit honest. It's not like the best music per se.
I think that's debatable.
Okay,
Yeah, I
they're
would
coming at me.
disagree.
But when you pair it with the video, it's a different level. So when you're in the car, even though you're playing it audio, just audio, you can picture the video in your head, and I think it makes it that much richer.
Actually, I don't listen to a lot of the videos, or listen, or watch, or I guess watch them.
So you listen first.
I listen, yeah, ears first.
I think YouTube has really helped K-pop a lot. I mean, with the early 2000s or mid 2000s was when YouTube was blowing up at the same time as
Yeah.
K-pop, and I think it kind of went hand in hand. It was, I mean, they don't put ugly people in K-pop bands, right? They know.
That subjective.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. Wow.
I do think there's some ugly people up there.
I agree.
But we won't name anyone. We don't want to get so much hate mail.
Yeah. We're gonna get snip. Cancel. I'm telling you.
And I think growing up Asian, in this country, I think seeing Asians, killing it on videos or killing it on stage is something that, for my generation, we never saw, right? We never saw people that look like us dominating pop scene, for my generation, even all the way down to people in their 30s, right? I think there was a huge void for Asian Americans or just people wanting to see people that look like them and represent them in the pop scene. You just didn't have it, growing up. So it's definitely a phenomenon that I see, a lot with Asian kids, and it's not just Asian kids. But I think there's a certain pride that comes with seeing people that look beautiful and seeing people that look amazing, can dance amazing, super dancers, super talented people. I think I don't know. There's a source of pride for me watching it a little bit.
I would agree. Yeah, there's definitely a sense of pride, but there's also a sense of another beauty standard that's hard to obtain. But I think
That
that's
is
like
true.
another story.
Yeah, it's not all perfect. We'll talk about the trainee system a little bit, about the trials and tribulations of K-pop stars a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's.
But the ones who are making it seem to be in a good place. I'm going to do, now Floris, you got to help me out, and Nate, help me out a little bit with this. I'm going to do a little history of K-pop, so please chime in. I don't even remember. I should give credit to the site that I got this off.
I'm not gonna lie. I was actually gonna Google. I googled part of this too because I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, we're
right.
gonna talk about this." Oh, I don't want to feel left behind.
Well, because this is a little ancient history for some of you guys, right? A little bit going back to the 90s, right? So
There was actually a K-pop group back in like the 60s.
yeah, I mean, well, there's been popular music in
Yeah.
Korea for decades. So that's always debatable when it actually did start. But I think most people point to like the late 80s, kind of where the concept of boy bands and girl bands kind of came out, and that coincided with New Kids on the Block here in America and different R&B, New Edition and stuff like that. So in the late 80s, there was kind of a revolution in South Korea, and it's hard to remember that South Korea just got out of the war. No, but the war ended in the 50s, and so as a country, they were only like 30 years old in the 80s. So they were just kind of figuring themselves out, and in the 80s was when big corporations started coming up, like Samsung and Hyundai. And, the Olympics in 88, if you guys watch, Reply 1988 or other shows, that was kind of a pivotal year for South Korea. It was 1988. And so that's when kind of they were thrust onto the international stage a little bit, and more influences were coming in. And so there was a guy and a band called Taiji. Have you ever heard of him? He's kind of, most people point to him as kind of the guy who started the whole American style music and kind of the rap and the hip hop, but with Korean lyrics. And this is also when like the big producers came online, like the DSP, SM. And it got systematic, and they kind of perfected the system, right? Like the whole machinery of producing music. Do you know much about this era, Floris?
Sort of. I think YG, or the old CEO of YG, was also in Soteji. So I think after that, he was able to gain some experience and start his own company. But yeah, I think Soteji and like HOT were kind of what kickstarted K-pop, really.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know SES.
Yeah,
Have you heard of SES and Finkel? So this is like 90s. Now we're in the 90s. And so these acts kind of blew up, and the whole dressing, the costumes kind of took off, and the fandom was another level that just started in the 90s, where you would have these huge groups of supporters, and they were probably the most dedicated fan bases that people had ever seen. Right? You've seen fans before, Elvis and the Beatles, Rolling Stones. They all had their fans, right? But the South Koreans took that fandom to a whole nother level, and it really created this phenomenon that is grown from there into where we are now. And we started to see solo acts. Are you fans of Boa or Rain?
Yeah, Boa, yes.
They're like the queen, the queen of K-pop. So she came out in the late 90s. And then, so we started to see the 2000s, and that's kind of when you guys got into it. Where a lot of people got into it was Super Junior, Wonder Girls, Big Bang with G-Dragon, 21, FX. These are the bands, and of course, our girls from San Francisco in Girls' Generation, right, came out in, what was that, 2007, I think?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, so they blew up. So the 2000s, I think, is kind of a sweet spot for K-pop. What would you say for you guys?
I think I like groups the most from the second generation. So anywhere they debuted from like mid 2000s to early 2010s would be my favorite K-pop groups, I feel like.
I would agree.
Plus, it was more original. Right now, it seems like there's more copying of old stuff.
I mean, that also makes sense to an extent, because there's people who have like progressed and done certain things, and then now people are just kind of copying their style or music because they kind of laid out the format. I mean, you can kind of say that with American music too. I mean, there's so many people in American music who take samples of older generation music.
Right. Yeah, no, there's nothing original.
Yeah.
There's always borrowing. And, you could say K-pop borrowed from America, but now I think America's looking at Korea and kind of like, hey, how can we do this? Because this is pretty big. I think we're at an interesting time in music history where we're starting to see Asian bands influencing the American scene. So we had some huge groups come out. When did BTS come out, Floris?
2013.
So 2013, and just kind of in a way, after some of those bands that we mentioned before, you're kind of like, well, can anyone be bigger than Girls' Generation? Can anyone be bigger than Big Bang or Super Junior, right? And then along comes more super bands, and we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I mean, you never say never on South Korea, right? They're coming out with new stuff, new bands every week, seems like. You know who we forgot to mention? And I don't know if I mean, no one likes this song, but in 2012, Psy. Remember Psy? No one likes this song. I don't know anyone who likes this song, but it's catchy as heck. And the video, right? The cheesy dance scene.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Oppan Gangnam Style.
And I remember them playing, I work at a high school and they have this kind of Spirit Week, song and dance competition. And I remember in 2012, some kids played that song for their routine, and it was kind of like, that was the first time I'd ever heard Asian music being played at this pep rally, and I thought that was a moment that I think America was kind of like, who are these guys? What are they all about? So yeah, he broke the record on YouTube, most watched YouTube video of all time for a minute. I think has Blackpink? No, they BTS and Blackpink keep going back and forth on the first 24 hours, right, when they drop the video. Did Lisa just break it? Did Lisa just break it this week too?
I'm actually not sure on that. I haven't been keeping up because of grad school and whatnot.
Yeah.
Wow, you must be so busy with grad school. I don't know how you do it.
Aren't you in grad school too, Nate?
Yeah, I am.
He's just being sarcastic.
But yeah, so we'll see what the future holds, right? No one knows. You think BTS will fizzle out? Or you think they're just going to keep building?
I think they're going to keep building. I mean, at the moment, a lot of their songs are hit after hit after hit. They are killing it. Even with their songs, I personally don't like them in the beginning, and then they catch on. They grow into you.
They just got named. I think Rolling Stone came out with their top 500 songs of all time.
Oh,
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And Dynamite made it onto the list. So first Asian song to make it to Rolling Stone's top 500, which is kind of a big deal of all time. So this includes the Beatles and everybody.
They even got nominated for Grammys, I think, this past year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're definitely going to keep going, especially with kind of a change in direction recently. I think before they only made Korean music and they kind of took pride in that, but recently they've been releasing more English music and more, I guess, in my opinion, more American pop vibes type of songs. So I think they will definitely gain more fans in America or more mainstream media, I guess.
But do you think they'll lose their fans in Korea?
I don't think so. Armies are hardcore.
Are so blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, they're even coming with the president, right? They were into the UN. He's like, "Who should I bring as my special ambassadors?" And he brings over BTS.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're the number 3. I think K-pop is the number 3 export out of South Korea.
It might be number 1. I
thought skincare was up there.
Don't quote me on that.
Well, there's electronics, cars, skincare, and K-pop.
Yeah.
It's like keeping the economy afloat, but it's huge. I mean, when the president says, "I need you to come with me."
Well, I think it's because BTS has such a huge influence on their fans. In what they do and how they motivate and push their fans to do what they love and whatnot. Or that's kind of the message behind a lot of their songs and who their band is about. So I could see why that the president would choose them to go with him.
Oh, heck yeah. No, you want people screaming whenever you enter a room. I mean, bring BTS with you. All right, let's get into a couple challenges. I wanted to ask you to help me recommend some K-pop band. Now, I know there's probably folks out there, we got people in their 30s, 40s, 50s out there listening to this podcast thinking to themselves, I don't like K-pop. I'm too old for K-pop. It's for kids, right? So maybe we can change their mind, maybe not. But I thought it'd be fun to do this episode just to There's probably people out there wondering what it's all about. So the first two questions we're going to talk about are kind of entry-level K-pop stuff. Maybe things that got you into it or things that might help influence someone who has never listened to K-pop before. So the first challenge I want to throw your way is what is a band you would recommend kind of as a gateway, or let's start with this. What was your gateway band that kind of got you into it? We talked about it a little bit, but maybe you can pick more than one if you want. Do you kind of remember the moment, and has your relationship with this band changed at all, or will they always hold a place in your heart? So let's go with Floris. Floris, what was your gateway band? I think you mentioned Big Bang, but you can mention another one if you want, or talk more about Big Bang.
Definitely Big Bang. Yeah, that's what kind of got me into 21, Shiny, Beast, who is now Highlight, Super Junior, and all those groups during that era. But Big Bang has always held a place in my heart. I think it will always, even though there's been controversies in the last few years, but we won't get into that. But yeah, I think just their music has had a huge influence on me and has helped me through a lot, especially back then.
You have a song you want to recommend to us?
Let's see. Let's not do something so crazy.
Yeah, don't scare the listeners here.
I feel like, let me see.
I would say I'm gonna go with the OG, Haru.
Yeah,
I think that would be my suggestion.
I think so too. I think this shows how different music videos were back then versus now. Back then was all about like the storyline, the love stories.
Yeah, I would say like if you were to compare this to Fantastic Baby, so different.
Do you have a bias, Floris? Who's your favorite?
GD.
I think Taeyang's better.
Are they performing at all nowadays?
They haven't really been active recently.
All right. Okay, so we got a Big Bang. You got a second rec for us? Someone else that maybe got you into it?
2NE1 is also up there. I think that's a good group to listen to as well.
All right. What song should we do from them on this?
I really like either Lonely or...
We'll go by views here. We got 89 million views of Lonely.
I like Lonely.
Come Back Home is also good.
Come Back Home is 98 million views. Let's try Lonely.
지금 내가 하는 얘기 널 아프게 할지 몰라 아마 날 죽도록 미워하게 될 거야 내가 예전 같지 않다던 네 말 모두 틀린 말은 아니야 나도 변해버린 내가 낯설기만 해.
Have any of these girls gone solo?
Yeah, they're disbanded now, and they all kind of make music besides Dara, who's on the screen right now. She kind of just she acts a little bit, but she also is mostly just in variety shows and whatnot. I think I wanted to show 2NE1 too because we did talk about how K-pop is very focused on visuals and just like good, quote unquote, good looking people. But I think 2NE1 was one of the first few girl groups that came out that weren't traditionally up to Korean standards in terms of beauty and whatnot.
Yeah. So like long hair, long dark hair, skinny, perky, and just
long legs.
Yeah.
How about you, Nate? Who was your kind of gateway band? I think you mentioned Big Bang too, but
so I mentioned Big Bang, but I think another one was Epik High.
Oh, Epik High.
Yeah, Epik High. I think like I still remember it. Like Love, Love, Love is like one of my favorites, and still will be one of my favorites.
약속을 밀어본 적 아프지 말라 신께 빌어본 적 친구를 피해본 적 잃어본 적 가는 뒷모습 지켜본 적 미친 듯 사랑했는데 왜 정말 난 잘해줬는데 왜 모든 걸 다 줬었는데 got me going crazy 죽도록 사랑했는데 왜 내 몸과 맘을 잃어버렸는데 어떡해.
I was actually supposed to go to one of their concerts in November 2019, I believe. I was going to go with one of my great cousins. Was great cousin, I guess I would say now. Yeah, there was a little fallout. I was forgotten. I wasn't really, thought of. So it's totally fine. I was forgiven.
I mean, it might have been a pandemic as well.
I believe
it was before the pandemic, I will say that.
Yeah, it was. So, it's totally fine.
It doesn't sound totally fine, but it's interesting that most of these bands after like the 2000s started going with English names, right? Like that was kind of, or I guess they have both, right? Like Girls' Generation had a Korean name and an English name.
How do you guys feel about that? That they're like assimilating?
They do have to sell records.
They do, but they can still sell records with their Korean names.
Yeah, I don't know if a kid in Iowa though.
Because it's like, I don't know if this is a little out of topic, but like, how there's certain people, like they change their names and how like we're able to pronounce, or we are like trying to pronounce like German names or French names, but when it comes to like Asian names, like we ask them to have like an American name.
Mm-hmm.
So we try hard to pronounce those names, but we're not going to try hard, or there's a less emphasis on trying hard on Asian names.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I deal with that in the high school, right? We were talking about, I think we were talking about that when we were talking about Shang-Chi, and that there's a scene in there where, he says he changed his name from Shang to Sean, and that's kind of a classic story in Asian immigrants, when they move to this country, they sometimes feel it's easier for people to say it if I change my name.
And I think K-pop did that initially so that they could get into like mainstream American music.
Sure.
And then it kind of just stuck throughout the years where even BTS has like a Korean name versus just BTS.
I mean, I think with BTS too, they have like stage names. I think that's different though. Like stage names and Korean names, like, because you keep that separate.
Yeah, it's got a little colonialism feel to it, right? It's got a little bit of that, but it's also capitalism.
It is.
It's
That's
also,
true. Yeah,
that's probably bottom line is like, hey, if kids in Iowa and Texas, can say Blackpink easier than they can say a Korean name, we'll do it. Sell some records.
But sorry, I got a little sidetracked. But yeah, other than that, that opens the gateway to other songs. To like Super Junior, 2PM, SNSD, Wonder Girls. It definitely like opens up to that generation.
Yeah, that was a good generation of music, I think. Yeah, you're right there. You guys are the perfect age, right? Is it kind of? I mean, you're the second generation, but I think for Asian Americans, I feel like those bands were kind of the ones that people would know more than anything before that.
Wait, Asian Americans would know anything like
I feel like if you asked people 10 years ago, so no, maybe more than that, 15 years ago, the name of a South Korean band, they probably couldn't name one, right? But then 10 years ago, when you guys were in high school, 15 years ago, when you guys were in high school, no wait, when was 2008? That was middle school for you.
It was middle school for me.
Yeah.
So 13 years ago, if you asked people for the name of an Asian band, they might be able to name you one, right?
Definitely.
But
yeah,
in my high school days, no one would know anything about anything Korean, other than the Olympics, maybe.
I don't want to be mean, but like we had more access to like computers and technology and internet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So definitely...
No, it definitely went hand in hand, right? Like if I wanted to get Asian music, I had to know someone in Asia to get me a cassette or a CD and mail me, like find a bootleg in Chinatown, maybe. But yeah, for your generation, it was just a click away, right? So that really helped your generation of music lovers. For me, like I said, I had a student who was really into Blackpink, and they're like, "Oh, you should listen to this." And it was Blackpink, and it was kind of a couple years ago, 5 years ago, or 4. Anyway, when Blackpink was really just coming to America, and right before Coachella, and they were making their rounds like Good Morning America and James Corden. They were doing the night shows, and that's really when they blew up. And I'd never heard of them before, or any K-pop really, besides maybe Psy, right? But so they were like, yeah, I should check them out. And at first, I wasn't really, blown away by the music. But then once you watch the videos and you meet the personalities, and this is part of the plan, right? This is part of YG's plan, JYP, SM. They all want to get you to know these people. And so once I realized they speak English, I was like, hey, that's kind of new. That's different, right? They're speaking English, and their personalities are so great. I think that's one of the thing about the trainee system is they find people that are not only good dancers, not only good singers, not only good looking, but they have personality too. And they just seem like people that you would just like to hang out with, right? And I think that's part of the plan is to get them on these shows, get them on variety shows, get them on interviews. And Blackpink does really well. They do really well with the interviews, especially in English, right? So that was kind of my gateway, was listening to a little whistle, maybe a little Ddu-du. And their songs are so catchy, right? They're so catchy, and we should give shout out to Teddy Park, right? He spent some time in America, his high school years in America. Do you know much about that?
I don't know much about him. He just makes a lot of the songs for YG. He produces a lot of them. Yeah,
he's super producer, right? And he kind of took Blackpink under his wing. Yeah, so a lot of their songs are so catchy, and there's enough English in them, so I kind of know what's going on, right? There's enough English, and the titles are all in English, where you can kind of guess what the song is about, and you hear a couple lyrics, you can sing along to a little bit of it at least. I'm not good enough to sing the Korean parts, but yeah, and it was kind of like, yeah, this isn't bad. And so, my daughters got into it, and so they started listening to it a little bit. And then they did Coachella, and then they just kind of really blew up, and are just everywhere now. And yeah, their personalities just come across as just, I don't want to say normal, because when you're a K-pop megastar, how normal can you be? But to me, they seem like people that are just grounded and not, totally divas or vicious people, but they just seem like people that would be pretty cool to hang out with. And that, Floris, I know you like Blackpink too. Do you have anything to say about Blackpink?
I think Blackpink was one of the first groups that had more foreign members than Korean members.
Three quarters, right? Three out of four.
So 3 out of 4. I think that was super interesting. Because Jennie's from New Zealand. Yeah. I always get those two countries confused. And then there's Lisa from Thailand, and I think K-pop is also all about having those foreign members here and there too, so that they could draw fans from those countries, because it's like, oh, look, this K-pop idol also speaks Thai or Japanese,
or from Canada, Japanese,
I think that's another amazing thing. They definitely have their music in so many languages.
Yeah,
I think that's crazy.
Again, they're not dumb.
Yeah,
like, hey, we have Super Junior M, we have Super Junior J. We'll have little subgroups to go to different countries. Yeah, no, it's genius.
Well, what are your favorite Blackpink songs?
You know what? I actually like the ballads. So, Don't Know What to Do Without You, or Hope Not, or Stay. I like the slow ones, actually.
Yeah, Stay is definitely up there for me, too.
It's so chill, right? Yeah.
What about you, Floris?
I don't know about one favorite song. I think...
Okay, like, if you had to pick a favorite, or if you just had to, like, show someone a song.
I think it would definitely be Stay for me. Like, the...
Stay?
Yeah.
툭하면 같은 말들로 내 맘에 상처를 내어놓고 미안하단 말 한마디 없이도 날 혼자 위로하고 오늘 하루도 혹시나 떠날까 늘 불안해해 I just want you to stay 점점 무뎌져가는 너의 그 무표정 속에 점점 내려놓은 잠을 거울에 속삭이곤 해 늘 당연하게 생각하는 너지만 그게 너다워 그래도 stay, stay, stay with me
Either stay or I also really like Forever Young, which is not very ballady, but I really like the rap in Forever Young that Jennie does.
Yeah, I think my favorite would probably be Lovesick Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, they're super talented. Have you seen this show called Sea of Hope? It's a reality show, kind of this cafe on the ocean. And Rosé dropped by for a minute, and she did some solo songs. She did some songs in English that I just thought would be hits.
Yeah, she's so good.
She's so talented. Well, you know, honestly, her vocals on the ones they write for her with Blackpink never blew me away.
Yeah, she just has a really unique voice.
But in English, yeah, these vowels that are a little lower, like she's not as high pitched, I really like them.
On the corner of Main Street, just trying to keep it in line. You say I wanna move on, and you say I'm falling behind. Can you read my mind? I never really gave up on breaking out of this two-star town.
I think this scene also shows how like down to earth they are too.
Yeah. But you know, I'd buy this album, right, in America. Like, even not knowing she's Korean, I would. So yeah, I'm really impressed with these.
Lisa
girls.
also just came out with a new song. I think actually this week or last week.
Yeah.
Oh really? What was it?
Mm-hmm.
It's called Little Lisa.
Yeah.
Oh, Little Lisa. Oh.
Let me see how many. I don't know if it was a record, but she broke YouTube, I think, with some 24 hours.
She has a huge following in China and whatnot too.
Yeah, and of course Thailand. She's like national hero in Thailand. 171 million views in 1 week. That's crazy.
Wow. I think that's another big thing too. I think like
I wish she did a more meaningful song, if that makes sense. Like, because Rosé came out with 2 songs a couple months ago, and those are kind of more about her and her journey. And then Jennie had solo a couple years back, where she kind of talked about just kind of being alone and being a bad bitch. Sorry, I don't know if I could cuss on here, but
yeah, all right.
a bad B, a bad
B, like because that was also, she came out with that song shortly after her and a member from EXO broke up because people in K-pop fans didn't approve of the two dating.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, so then shortly after she came up with that song, like, I'm a bad bee, I can be alone.
Yeah.
So I just wish, because Lisa's so talented, and I just wish she could have came out with something that, not better per se, but...
Yeah.
But did she have, like, was she able to? Because I know, like, in the industry, a lot of things are micromanaged.
Yeah, but I think because Lisa's so good at dancing, that's kind of what her role is in the group anyways. They wanted to come out with a more dancey song for her, but I feel like it could have been a dancey song, but also better. Like CL's recent songs are dancey as well, but more... The lyrics have more behind it, rather than my name is just Lisa, you know?
Yeah.
So do you want the lyrics to be better, or do you want there to be more vocal composition?
I think both.
Like vocal range. Oh,
both.
And just more personal, yeah.
I can see that, Other than I Am Lisa, like, it could have been a little bit, like, more to it.
But you're right, Nate. They're painting an image, right? They're trying to produce her as this is her solo act. But
it could definitely be a start for her, to pave way to start doing that and heading that direction.
But yeah, if you watch her interaction, she's a goofball, right? She's totally like one of the babies of the group, and she's a goofball. But in the videos, she always comes off as a baddie or someone who's gonna kill you, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they have this persona as well. But in reality, they're just kids. A lot of these, they're women, but a lot of them start out as kids. They start out at 15, 16, 17 years old, and it's kind of interesting how the company wants to show them sometimes as being something, but then when you watch them, you realize, oh, they're teenage girls. The way they act sometimes. All right, cool. Thank you for your recommendations. We're kind of on the same vein, and maybe we can talk more about things that you would recommend. But on the same kind of thread, is there a band like right now? Let's say you meet someone who's never tried K-pop or is resistant to trying K-pop. Is there anyone that you would recommend them to try as kind of like, hey, you should give this band a try. You might like them. Give them a listen. Someone who might be reluctant. Nathan, you got anyone like that?
Yeah, I actually do. I mean, depending who they are, because obviously when I recommend music, I kind of listen to their type of music first. But overall, I think GOT7, 17, Big Bang, BTS, they have like their music. I think is like such a wide range. It's not very monotone. So I definitely recommend them. But like if I just had to like recommend singles from certain people, I think like Love Scenario from Ikon is amazing. Instagram, Zyko Dean, like they have some really good singles there too. But overall, yeah, I think GOT7, Big Bang.
Let's talk about GOT7 for a second. I like Just Right, but is there a song that you like that you might recommend someone for the first time?
Let's see. God, I really like Eclipse. I think Eclipse is one of my favorites from them.
Okay. I heard about GOT7 because I watched the drama He is Psychometric. Have you ever heard of that one? Yeah, so what do you guys know about GOT7? You got any background on GOT7?
Oh, I just know they make great music. I think Floris.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Might know a little more about the team.
There are 7 members, hence GOT7. They're technically not disbanded right now, but they are no longer with JYP, and they said that they'll continue to do group activities, but for now, a lot of them are doing individual activities. I think JB and Yugam recently both came out with albums. I think so did Bam Bam. So a lot of them have been coming out with albums. They also have 3 foreign members. So there's Mark, there's Bam Bam, and then there's Jackson. So those are all foreign members from the US, Hong Kong, and Thailand. So pretty diverse group too. Kind of 50-50 almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they left the company in January 19, 2021, but they still released a single a month later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so sad. I didn't know they got disbanded. Or not disbanded, but kicked out.
They didn't get kicked out. They
left
just
the company.
They just didn't re-sign their contract.
Then I agree with you too on this Love Scenario, but when I first heard them saying it, I was like, Scenario? What's a Scenario? What is he talking about?
사랑을 했다 우리가 만나 지우지 못할 추억이 됐다 볼만한 멜로드라마 괜찮은 결말 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다 우리가 만든 love scenario 이젠 조명이 꺼지고 마지막 페이지를 넘기면 조용히
너가 더 나니까 yeah, 널 사랑했고 사랑받았으니 난 이걸로 됐어 yeah.
But I was talking to someone mentioned. Well, I was playing this song. So, last year at Zoom High School, right? I was teaching on Zoom, and so I like to play music in and out of class. And so one day I played this song, and one of my students, shout out to Layla, she kind of went on a little rant about Ikon being kind of not, I don't know, supported as much as they could be, and maybe. YG was all about Blackpink and kind of forgot about some of their other bands a little bit. But I love this song.
I think it brings like an upbeat but also very chill atmosphere in the song.
Yeah, super catchy. It's got a little rap, it's got a little singing. Scenario. Floris, your Ikon fan too?
Yes. I am a huge YG fan to begin with.
But I think this adds on to what I was saying earlier with they have very great vocals, super catchy, but the visuals is not super out there. It's not overdone.
Their dancing is solid and tight, but not crazy athletic,
I think that's
really
also why I kind of like YG more than other companies. Because they definitely focus, this is kind of controversial, but I would think they focus more on the music aspect rather than visuals or dance. Obviously, those are still incorporated because that's a huge part of K-pop, but it's not as important to YG, I guess, in a way.
That's good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Floris? Do you have a band that you would recommend to someone who's never listened to K-pop before?
I think Nathan mentioned a lot of the groups that I would say, but as we're talking, I think Day 6 kind of popped up in my head.
Or I think the newer one?
Yeah.
With the kids? Or there was
the
a member
kids.
who was 17 or something?
No, Day 6 is pretty grown.
Oh, okay.
And their sound, I found out about them, I found Zombie, and that's just a catchy, really catchy song, kind of like Love Scenario. But then I listened to some of their other stuff, and their sound is really different, I think, than other bands.
And Day 6 is kind of similar to CN Blue and FT Island, where they all play an instrument, so kind of different from your stereotypical K-pop band.
Oh, I didn't know Day 6, they all play the instrument.
Wow, so they're a real
Yeah.
band. What song do you want to play?
I really like You Were Beautiful.
Oh, that's a good one.
Who wouldn't like to be called "You Are Beautiful"?
Were.
Were.
You were. Oh wait. What?
It's not "You Are Beautiful," it's "You Were Beautiful."
Okay, I don't know if I like it anymore.
지금 이 말이 우리가 다시 시작하자는 건 아니야. 그저 너의 남아있던 기억들이 떠올랐을 뿐이야. 정말 하루도 빠짐없이 사랑한다 말해줬었지. 잠들기 전에 또 눈 뜨자마자 말해주던 너 생각이 난 말해보는 거야. 예뻤어 날 바라봐주던 그 눈빛 날 불러주던 그 목소리.
Now I've heard Zombie completely in English. Do they do a lot of their songs all in English? Or
No,
English
most of them are in Korean.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who they remind me of. Kind of throwback, like a little bit, like a throwback, like an American band. I'm trying to think. Do you think they sound like anyone?
Not for me.
Maybe I'll think about it. But I don't know. They have kind of a Western sound to them, kind of an American sound. But I don't know.
I mean, 2 of them are from Canada and America, so.
Maybe it's just their instrumentation. Maybe because they're actually a band. It's not all electronic. Maybe it sounds a little more American to me. But yeah, no, they're good. I'm gonna say. Now I don't even know if this counts as K-pop. What do you guys think? I'm gonna say AKMU.
AKMU is definitely K-pop, I would say.
Okay, all right, but they're not. They're not your typical boy band or girl band, right? They are brother and sister team. They won a reality show, K-pop Star 2, in 2012, and they won it kind of running away. Like I think they their sound was so different. It was kind of goofy. And he plays guitar, so a lot of their songs were acoustic, and their harmony. They're really good singers. I think some of the best singers, and their harmonies are really good. They don't really dance, they don't choreograph anything. But I think if you are not necessarily into the kind of the bubblegum pop kind of sound of K-pop, give AKMU a try. AKMU. What does it stand for? Akdong Music?
Akdong Musician.
Akdong Musician. But they're doing a lot of collaborations. But I would say, what song should I pick here? I'm going to say, I like 200% because of the rapping part.
He also writes all of their songs.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, they're super talented.
고백 빨리 하라 해. 내 주위를 둘러싼 수많은 경쟁자. Yes, I'm a soldier for you. Sweet 멘트 장전. 발사기 전에 작은들이 불었나. Yes, 완전. 간장, 공장, 공장장. 이곳 간 공장장. Yeah, I'm ready.
아침이 깨는 소리 more morning. 바람들은 make our more horny. 저물어가는 달빛을 let it go. 여물어가는 romance 꿈꾸고. Hey baby, it's coming new day.
새로운 느낌이야 이건.
Hey wait, let's come on, let's see.
아무래도 이거는
It must be L-O-V-E. Be backwards and sure of it.
But yeah, not your typical. They just look like normal kids. They don't look like movie stars or supermodels. They just look like some young people in Korea. But yeah, so talented and super listenable. I would give it a try. For those of you out here who've never tried K-pop, give them a try. The other one is not an unknown name, but I'm going to recommend the megastar, Korea's little sister. I'm going to mention IU. IU is, if you don't know IU from either her K-dramas, she's done, Hotel Del Luna and My Mister and Scarlet Heart Rio. She's done a bunch of K-dramas, but she's such a good singer. And I've heard her. I haven't heard her live, but I've heard her sing live, and it sounds just like her recordings. Like she's not auto-tuned. She is just really good singer, and it sounds. Her sound is kind of like someone whispering in your ear. She has a big voice when she wants to, but a lot of times her lyrics are just so sultry and soft. And so again, if you're not into K-pop and you don't know what it's all about, give IU a try. I mean, she has ballads. I like her ballads a lot, but she has some pop music too, like BB's kind of her biggest pop song probably.
Yeah, she did like a few collaborations which were like more pop.
Yeah, I like her collaboration with Zico or Zico. What do you say?
I think it's Zico. Oh, it's Zico. I see Zico. I'm sorry.
But yeah, she does a lot of collaborations. She did one with, is it Sugar? Or Suga?
Sugar and BTS, right?
Yeah,
that one's really good. I would recommend that song by her.
Yeah, she also did I think a collab with Crush and stuff. GD previously, but she is really, really good live. I've seen her once in Korea.
Oh, you saw her? Yeah. Oh. Did you like her song with GD?
I did. I really like that song.
But yeah, so give IU a try, or give her dramas a try. Either she's super talented. And then I saw her on Hiyori's Bed and Breakfast. I don't know if you ever watched that show on Netflix, but Lee Hiyori did a reality show where she has people come to her house, and IU was one of the helpers there. She was called the part-timer. And she's just so down to earth and super nice, and just interacted with these guests who were clearly starstruck with her, but after a minute they just realized that she's just a nice person. So, huge IU fan. This is actually kind of a Viv pick too. Viv is a huge IU fan, so my wife throws in IU as a possible person to get started with K-pop. Again, is she K-pop, or yeah? I mean, she does some pop, but she's just a great talent.
Yeah, I would say some of her music are pop. So that. Yeah.
I would still call her a K-pop artist. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's not R&B or anything. Yeah. How about you, Floris? You got someone to recommend for someone who's not getting into this? I think you mentioned 17. You want to talk about
17? Lots of members. Used to have 17 members, but currently at 13. They do a lot of subgroups, so I think that's why I kind of thought that would be a good gateway. Yeah, so they do a lot of subgroups. There's like a rap group, a dance group, a more vocal subgroup.
울고 싶지 않아 울고 싶지 않아 사랑해서 사랑한다는 말이 부족해서 그 어떤 말을 꺼내봐도 너 하나만 아끼던 날 두고서 어디 간 거니 내가 어졌어 멀리 간 장난치지 마 거기 있는 거 알아 나타날 것 같아 마냥 기다리다 널 찾아가야 돼 지금 멀면 못 볼지 모르니까.
That's a lot of dudes. So,
yeah, 13 guys, and they're really, really good at dancing. I think that's a huge part of their thing too.
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely find a bias.
Yeah, 1 out of the 13 guys. You have to have a favorite, right?
it's hard at first, though. If you're just getting started, it's kind of overwhelming to figure out who's who.
That's true.
Who's your bias, Floris?
Oh, hard, but my bias would have to be Mingyu.
Yeah.
Took me a while to choose just one.
It's hard. With that many guys, it's like they don't have very much screen time, you know? Like, you don't get to see each one of them very often. But yeah, they're good.
What song were you talking about, Nathan? He was also talking about
yeah, sorry. Stay With Me. I forgot. It's just like it's just like the intro, or not the intro, but like you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, it's like in the K-drama. It's like a girl about to get hit by a truck.
Oh, by Chanyeol. Okay.
Yeah, by Chanyeol. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's such a good song. I feel like
I think Curtis would know that song. Yeah.
Really?
Chanyeol. You could just put EXO "Stay With Me." It should pop up.
Really? You don't think it'll go with Sam Smith? Oh, EXO.
EXO.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I specified.
I usually go with I put Goblin next to it because I think that's a drama too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I totally know this one. This one?
Yeah.
Punch? Oh yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's...
Yeah, no, we're huge Goblin fans over here.
나를 부르네 calling 헤어나올 수 없어 제발 homie 내 인연을 끊인 건지 기다린 네가 맞는지 가슴이 먼저 왜 내려앉는.
Now, it's kind of interesting that some of these folks, like Punch is kind of known for K-drama soundtracks, right? That's kind of her...
Yeah, there's certain artists that mainly do K-drama soundtracks.
Yeah. And it's like one word, like crush or punch. She has that voice too that just kind of haunting. Now, is EXO from that 2008 generation too? It's kind of.
I believe EXO debuted in 2012 or 2013.
I like how you know this information at the top of your head.
It's so hard.
Oh, sorry, 2011. I'm a little off.
Oh,
Embarrassing.
only 1 year off. Now, is EXO still performing? Are they still around?
They're still around.
Yeah, but I think another great thing about like technology and stuff like that, like we were talking about YouTube, I think another platform now that's like really slowly bringing up Korean music too is TikTok.
Oh yeah,
For sure, yeah.
yeah. You know, if you want to have a hit nowadays, you have to have some kind of a challenge. You know, you have to have someone doing your stuff.
Yeah, I think it was so sad. There was like one artist who was really trying to push his song and like was doing the challenge, but like it wasn't that hot. And no one picked it up. It was Wonho, which was really sad, I thought. Because I felt like it had so much potential. It was a great song. The dance, you know, was like all right, but not everybody was doing it.
All right. So those are some good recommendations. Thanks for making those. We're going to get a little deeper into it in part 2, but guess what, y'all? That's the end of part 1 of episode 10. That flew by. Good chatting K-pop with these folks, but if you want to find out some more bands, listen in to part 2, which will be coming out next week. Thank you to Nate and Floris for coming by, and thank you everyone out there for listening. Let us know your thoughts. If you want to flame us for our biases, go ahead. You can email us at infatuationpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram or Facebook at The Infatuation Podcast. I'll put all these details in the notes. After this episode, we're doing one on frozen foods. So we're going to do Asian frozen foods. So come by for that one. We're going to try out some different ones that we might want to recommend to you. Check that out. Follow us on any of the places where you get your podcasts, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes. But follow us along, follow us there, and then you'll know when the new episodes are coming. But until then, on behalf of Nathan, Floris, and myself, we hope you're all happy and healthy and safe out there. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
How you like that? You gonna like that? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. How you like that? Bada bing, bada boom, boom, boom. How you like that? So are you happy now? Finally happy now, yeah. 뭐 그대로야 난 다 잃어버린 것 같아. 모든 게 맘대로 왔다가 인사도 없이 떠나. 이대로는 무엇도 사랑하고 싶지 않아. 다 잊을 대로 해줘버린 기억 속을 여행해. 우리는 오렌지 태양 아래 그림자 없이 함께 춤을 춰. 정해진 이별 따위는 없어. 아름다웠던 그 기억에서만 난 forever young. Forever young. 이런 악몽이라면 영영 깨지 않을게. 그래 여긴 서